Yo, how's it going, guys? Yeah, we're on episode 9 with Sammy Hands, Sammy Send It, Sammy, whatever you want to call this guy. He's got all the names in the world. We're here with Bradley on Casual Blade and Bevvie. Sammy, we're very intrigued and very interested in your life, your skating, quarantine, everything around at UKBC. We want to touch on some subjects. Do you want to kick it off with how you started skating and who you skated with and where you grew up?
Yeah, man. It's the first time I ever put on skates was primary school. We used to have a lot of roller discos.
Yeah. What is with the roller disco stuff? 1 second, I'm sorry to interrupt you. This is a fucking another one. Roller discos. You all had your flares out back then.
See, I don't have the same sort of thing.
Same.
Mine was just like, watch Mighty Ducks, that's it. Want to be Mighty
Ducks.
No,
see, mine was like throw your skates on, go around the library, around the corner of mine, jump the free set like 20 times a day, and then start doing 360s. Like, that was my way of getting into it.
But no, it seems like roller disco.
Yeah, sorry, Sammy, carry on, man. Carry on.
It was just a standard primary school roller disco, like in their playground, and they'd have like few sets of skates there, or you take your own. So I done what everyone else does and buys the shittiest, cheapest blades they can find just for this roller disco, just to go and see what it was all about. And I was dreadful. I was absolutely terrible. I couldn't stand up. I couldn't skate along. I couldn't stop. And I eventually took them off after half an hour, and you could see me for the next 2 hours next to the tuck stool eating sweets. I just wouldn't put the skates back on. It just didn't come naturally to me when I first ever tried it. But we're talking 18 odd years ago, something stupid, or maybe even longer than that. It's a long time ago. And then there was a spell during secondary school where a couple of mates were blading. I was a skateboarder at the time, and I was shit at that. Absolutely bollocks. I couldn't get past the basics. I've got full props for every skateboarder out there that is out doing fucking some of the stuff bigger than what some of our guys are doing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You follow the right skateboarding.
I've always had props for skateboarding.
Yeah, like because you know instantly how hard it is.
Yeah,
to keep that board close to your feet.
It's weird because I'd actually sit there and watch a skateboarding edit as well as a rollerblading edit, because I think some technical skateboarding is fucking amazing.
Yeah,
it's quality. Like just to be able to do some of the stuff they do, it's incredible. It's like when I lived in Leeds, the skateboarding scene there. You know, go to the skate park and there's a lot of skateboarders around, and it was incredible to watch. Some of them there were rippers, man, absolute rippers.
I mean,
I love the flat land side of skateboarding. I was a big Rodney Mullen fan. I loved all that technical shit. It was that was awesome.
Is it like Daiwan Song, is it? Or?
Yeah, Rodney Mullen as well.
Yeah, quality, absolute quality.
Yeah, man.
Carry on, Sammy.
But yeah, I had a couple of mates that did have blades back then, and I think I bought a pair to try and get into it with them. But at the same time, whenever I was going with them to skate parks, I was still taking either my board or my BMX, because I was BMXing as well. I used to love my BMXing. I was glued to it, absolutely glued to it. Yet again, I was shit, but I loved it. So I tried skating when I must have been 14. My mum got me as a birthday present a second-hand pair of TRS Stilo Pros.
Nice.
Off eBay with the shag.
I need to ask: is it the grey ones or the black ones?
A rollerblade setup, like first ever aggressive setup.
You broke up a little bit there, Sammy. Do you want to go back to your mum got you some grey Estelos?
Yeah, my mum got me some grey Estelos. I'd take them to the skate park with me whenever me and the lads would go to the skate park, but I'd still have my board with me or my BMX. And I just never got the hang of it, man. It just didn't click. Yeah. Like, some people can just put them on and Do you know what I mean? Same with a board, same with a bike, same with surfing. Some people just got a natural knack.
Yeah,
and
it pisses me off. That pisses me off. I'm sick of fucking falling over, mate. Like falling over, trying to learn the one trick over and over again, and I get very tired of that.
But yeah, I gave it a go for, I don't know, 2-3 months, and I think I only got to the progression point of stalling a curb, literally. So I brushed it to one side then for many years. As we do, we all grow up, we get into the teenage years, we start experimenting with certain substances, and you know how it goes. I don't have to explain that one to you guys.
No, that's it.
And then life took a bit of a turn, and I had a bit of a mental breakdown, and I got diagnosed with bipolar disorder.
Okay.
And at the time, I really struggled to deal with that. So one day, I was having a bit of a shitty day. A mate called Richard Green met up with me. He's a local chap. I've known him for years, and he was one of the lads that did used to blade back in the day locally.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, I've still got a pair." He said, "Right, we're gonna find you a fucking hobby. You need to do something like to stop doing what you're doing."
Yeah.
So he suggested, "Oh, I've got a spare pair of skates. We go out the local, give it a bash, just for a laugh." He said, "We'll have a couple of tinnies, nothing crazy. Just put them on and just see how you get on." And it was one of the best things I ever did, was giving it a shot. But I didn't really have. He basically told me, you're either trying this sport out again and doing something with your life, or you're gonna end up fucking dead."
Yeah, so obviously I know it's a bit of a sensitive subject, and obviously touching on that matter, you know, I kind of would like to touch on the situation with that, Sammy, because there are a lot of rollerbladers that still live in that lifestyle of the early 2000s, where it's all about partying and getting off your fucking head, and living that crazy life and being that rollerblader. And I think it's not good for your health, and I don't think it's good for your well-being at all.
Nah.
I appreciate you. You're touching it there in a little bit of in a way where people can understand what you're saying, because in a way, drug abuse, when it is abused, is a problem. That's when it does start mentally affecting you. And when you're diagnosed with bipolar, and I imagine with bipolar came along depression and a little bit of anxiety.
It's a lot more complicated than a lot of people think.
Yeah.
It's a very technical illness. You'd have to read into it more to fully understand it, but a lot of people seem to categorize it or stigmatize it as multiple personality. You're either sad or you're really happy.
Yeah.
But there's so much more to it.
From a personal point of view, I've been fortunate enough to not have any genuine mental health issues, no diagnosis, anything like that. Touch wood and all that. Everything's been good for me, and I feel privileged for that. But I've been around people who have struggled. My brother struggles, and you do get that sense that when you don't live with it day to day, that it is a bit of a on-off switch. It's good days and bad days. But I know from speaking to my brother and other people who've suffered, it's far from that. It's very much, there's no black area, white area. There's a lot of grey area, you know what I mean? And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand about it. It's great to have you on, and anyone else in UKBC, especially that, has them sort of feelings, them anxiety issues, anything like that, who wants to come on and talk, more than welcome to get in contact and reach out.
I think you'll be very surprised how many people in our community do have problems, and a lot of them do hide it.
Yeah.
But full props to them if some people do choose to keep it to themselves. Others maybe are a little bit too vocal about it online. I've been guilty of it. I've had a shit day and just had a rant online because I've had no one else to rant to, or it was a better way of me.
That's the
expressing
difference.
myself into the bottle.
If you don't have somebody there to rant to, it's an outlet.
Yeah.
It's somewhere you can get that little bit of attention that you need. Because obviously, if you've got nobody there in front of you to rant to or break down to at the same time, you need some sort of outlet. And if you don't have the outlet, you're just going to go insane within yourself. It was kind of the same for me, Sammy. So a lot of people also don't know about myself, only close friends and people I've spoken to that have got a bit closer with me. But I was the same. I used to, I know you smoke pot now, but I was smoking a lot. I was smoking, for me, it was a lot. I was smoking an ounce a week, and I was living.
I'm pretty close to that myself, man.
Yeah, but what you're smoking it for is for a different reason. You're smoking it for your bipolar, depression, anxiety. That it helps you within them cases of life. But for me, I was smoking it.
I will put my hand up to that one and say, I would like to say it does help my illness. I will give it that credit, but at the same time, I'm sort of still smoking more because I'm substituting cannabis now with other substances that I would have been doing in the past.
Yeah.
Or
So
have had in the past.
It got to the point where I was smoking a heavy amount, which I think an ounce a week is a heavy amount. And
oh yeah,
a lot of people are going to hear this, and they'll, it's probably for some people it's the first time they're ever going to hear it coming out of my mouth, because I don't usually tend to tell a lot of people that I'm not close with. And it got to the point where it caused me to have anxiety. It caused me to have problems. I was living the life up in Leeds, living the life up in London, thinking it was all fucking bless. I'd been doing it from the age of 14, 15. And then, probably about 3-4 years ago, it hit me hard, mate. It hit me hard to the point where, like, I knew I had DPD at the door with my parcel, but I wouldn't even open the door because I was anxious. I was worried. I didn't know what was wrong with me. But all I did was smoke more to mask that problem.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It's crazy. I know it sounds really crazy, but I just kept smoking because I thought if I keep smoking, it'll help me feel better inside to go, do you know what? I can fucking answer the front door. I can go outside. Like, I was smoking like a 20 bag before I left the house because I felt like that was the normal thing to do. But yeah, to anybody who is in the UK scene and does listen to our podcasts, I think, there are other things in life, other things you can be doing with your time that you don't need to cover these situations up with.
To be fair as well, like what you're touching on there, and obviously, Sammy, I'm sure a lot of people who will listen to this will know already, but for ones that don't, UKBC was actually started by yourself. And I think that, that's one kind of way of looking at, how you've taken some negatives in your life and really turned it into a positive, by trying to do something positive and constructive. And I think, big props to you, man, like, because you look at the numbers now on that group, and a lot of people, myself included, who use that group daily, who, have that sort of, like, if you come from areas where, say, there's been loads of skaters and now there's none, and you don't have that sort of day-to-day contact with other skaters. I mean, I'm fortunate now to live in a different area where there are a few heads. I can message a few people, I'll probably get a section out of it. But without, like, say I moved home now, there wouldn't be any bladers, and it just gives you that contact that you can have on a more positive basis, where you've all got that, that
community.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's the community. Exactly, it's in the name, but I mean, like, it's a little bit more than that, in the sense that it's just that way of communicating something that you love and other people love, that gives it a real sort of family feel, you know what I mean? And like I say, props to you for doing it and starting it. And
I appreciate it. The prop can't go all to me though, lads. I've got such a great admin team, and Lewis has been there with me since, well, I was running it on my own for about a year when I first started it, and then I took Lewis on because I just seen great potential in the kid. I could see the passion he held. I went down to Warrington one day because my brother lives in Warrington, not far from Lewis. We hooked up and we just clicked. and our same passion and love for the sport. And we had so many ideas, and I just thought, I can't not take this kid on board. He's going to be a vital member of the team. And
Sorry, and like what you were saying there, like, you know, the passion and stuff that comes through. Like, obviously, the admin team are there now, and that, you know, that's working wonders, and it's needed, you know, for the sheer volume of people that are in the group now. But you know, like, actually getting it off the ground, was it something you'd had thoughts about for a while? Like, it was something you wanted to get going, or was it kind of just off the cuff, like, you know, I'm going to set this up?
It's actually, I was in psych ward when I first made UKBC. I made it from my phone from a hospital bed in psych ward. I'd been sectioned. I'd had a bit of a mental breakdown. This wasn't long after I'd been diagnosed, so I was still trying to come to terms with what I'd been told.
Okay.
I knew that in the years leading up to being diagnosed, because it was a battle, the mental health services aren't great, as you probably know.
Yeah.
But just once I'd skated with Rich a couple of times, and then had this stint in hospital, but had already started picking up this love for the sport once I had this first couple of skate sessions with Rich and banged out my first soul grind on my first session. I was a bit like, whoa, where did that come from? Like, it shocked me.
Yeah.
And the next day I was stalling on the quarter pipes, and I just picked it up really fast.
Yeah, I was going to say your progression was pretty quick, mate. Like, watching one video 1 week and then watching you do like a top sole 540 true miz, like, on a box, you know what I mean? Like, that's some progression, Sammy.
See, mate, that's kind of took me by surprise. I'd always been under the assumption, with not knowing you and like really not having any conversations with you, that you were kind of one of these cats that like ourselves that had started in primary school, secondary school, and just carried it through. Like, you were kind of at that level. When I first seen you on UKBC, obviously joined the group, and I think you were the only admin at the time, and it was like, oh, this guy started it because he's done it for ages, you know, like he's always been around. He's probably been part of the scene while I've been not part of the scene, you know, while I've been at university and stuff like that. It was one of them, like,
well,
that's really that surprised me now, because I didn't realise you'd had kind of that sort of late introduction into the sport. I didn't know that at all.
I think a lot of people were surprised, and I it's funny, I've had to learn my skate history backwards.
Yeah.
So, like, my first inspiration in skating was Eugen Ennin.
Right.
I can't remember what edit it was. It was one of his early USD ones, and I just fell in love with the rail transfers, the switch ups, the technicality of all that. Even the way the bloke dresses, his music, the anime, it just, wow, I want to do what this bloke does.
Yeah.
It was one of those epiphany moments.
I don't think you were the only person to take on. How do you even pronounce this guy's name? Eugen N?
No, it's Eugen.
Eugen N. Yeah. So, like, I definitely.
If you want to be polite and say it properly, it's Eugen.
People definitely look up to rollerbladers, I think, these days, and still try and copy their style in a way.
Yeah, I mean, it's not copy, is it? It's you know, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. You know, the old saying. It's one of them, like, you see something and you instantly sort of pulled in by it, like you say yourself. I mean, I think I've mentioned on these podcasts previous, like Alex Brosco, when I was growing up, was like, you were watching these edits and they were like kind of like not just blowing you away with the skating, but just everything around it, like his whole sort of, you know, at the time it was like how sort of aggressive he was skating, you know, without, you know, going into aggressive inline type thing. But he was skating angry, you know, and as a young teen, you can relate to that sort of like fuck you mentality, you know, like, I'm going to slam this trick, I'm just going to do it. And as he's progressed, you know, like, he's chilling now, and I still respect that, because it's
weird though, because
with it.
We had a conversation earlier. You know, Brad is still and has always been very into listening, reading, and watching rollerblading throughout the years. Where myself, I never have been. So I know the pros and I know pro names and the rest of it, but I've always been that kid, mate, where like I just put my rollerblades on, I didn't give a shit, and I'd just go out and skate. Like, and it was only till like when you seen that clip earlier from 2012.
Yeah.
It was probably only from like 2012 that I actually started doing topsides.
Yeah.
Like, I never knew what it was, and a lot of people don't. Well, a lot of people know topsides from the early 2000s, early 90s because of people doing them. Because I never researched, never watched any of that. I used to, if I ever watched any video I ever owned was Razor's Steal This Video.
Yeah.
And yeah, there are topsides in that, but to me, I just thought he was doing a fucking like soul.
Yeah.
I never realised it was topside. Do you know what I mean? Like, never realised.
It's interesting, isn't it? Like the way, different way people come into it and how they stick with it and what they go.
But I just kept doing it because I enjoyed it. I didn't. I never knew anything about topsides, literally, until probably about 2012 when I started doing topsides. And it opened up a whole different ball game when it comes to tricks. But like, I kind of feel like that helped me.
Yeah, I mean, like everyone's got their own different way in.
I was solid on a sole, and then I was like, oh, fucking hell. Then you got to jump like over on top. Like, it kind of helped a lot more.
Yeah.
It's strange.
Yeah. I mean, and like you say, like obviously coming into late, is it? So like now getting, a bit away from that, you've come back into skating, you've, set up UKBC, you're having your issues, your own personal demons. What was the next steps then for you? Was it like, did you come out and just focus fully on this, or what was
in all honesty, like I set the page up because I was intrigued if there was any other skaters about. Yeah. Like, all I knew of was the guys that used to skate back in the day locally. There was an OG crew in this town. They skated like 20 odd years ago. I knew of them. So yeah, it just sort of went from there. It just went out of curiosity. I was like, there's got to be more skaters about.
Yeah.
There's got to be. So I made the group in the hope that I could meet. It was literally just to meet or hope that there was still some skaters around the towns around me. Yeah. Or maybe just
for a session.
New couple of people.
It makes complete sense. And obviously we all have mini group chats and like.
Yeah, look what he's fucking created.
Yeah.
A page of people giving each other shit every day.
we'll get there. We'll get there. That's too far down the line.
Sorry.
But I mean, like, obviously, my first interaction on the page and stuff was kind of watching from a distance, and I'm sure there's loads of people coming back into skating now that still do that. 5,000 members, there's probably about 100 who actually post stuff or like reach out. So many people watch it from in the background, and so like going from that, the numbers took off, and you were obviously skating more and meeting up for sessions and stuff like that. Like, what then kind of pushed it to that next level? Where you thought, actually, a few admin might come in handy here, or like, and more like the events sides of things, like where you've started doing collaborations. I spoke to Lewis a couple of episodes ago. It was like, we had a little chat about that and how that kind of all came a little bit about with Laird. But I mean, originally, obviously, it was yourself and this beginning admin team, if you will, and kind of what kicked it to that next level.
I think as the numbers started to slowly grow, obviously I'd still have my off periods where I needed some time offline or just needed some time to myself. And I did get a lot of backlash from people, like, they would join the group and be like, who the fuck's this guy? He's just burst onto the scene. He's been skating fucking like 3 months. He's made this page. He's trying to do this. He's trying to do that. But I stuck with it, man. I stuck through the shit. I held my head high. And it just kept on growing. And then, like I said, I met Lewis, and he was just the perfect fit. To me, he was just the perfect fit. He was young. He had connections that I hadn't made. Like I was, like I said, I was still going back in history of skating.
Yeah.
So when I first started really skating, I only really knew of like the big UK names like Burst and Lomax. And I think my first ever DVD that I actually watched was the Loco Scotland tour.
Yeah.
And
the free one, not the one that you didn't have to purchase.
No, mate borrowed it. Mate lent
All
it.
right, yeah, but
borrowed it off someone who got it for free.
why are rollerbladers such tramps?
We are what we are.
I'll play trader later. 20 quid.
Yeah. I remember them giving out the Scotland tour for free, was it?
Yeah.
It was all right DVD. To be fair, it wasn't bad. Yeah. Sorry.
I absolutely loved it, and I will hands up now admit I become a massive Dan Collins fanboy.
Yeah, Dan Collins is class, man.
Love his skating.
Oh, Dan Collins, yeah. I skated with Dan Collins quite a bit in London. At the time, he was into Bevvying quite a bit. Every time he skated, he always Bevvied. Yeah, I know there's nothing wrong with it, but you know, when you're trying to do hurricane topsoils and stuff, it's not really good to have 5 tins in you. You know, Dan realised that though. It comes to the point where Dan was like, "This isn't doing me any good." You know, I'm skating with people, and I'm not the same like level-headed as I used to be.
Yeah.
So Dan actually started to become sober and stop drinking. And Dan's progression and his skating now is incredible.
Yeah, he's unreal.
He's a fucking machine. Like I remember watching him in the I think it was like early slam jams, and I never knew who he was to begin with, but it was always shouted out on like the mic, "Oh, here comes fucking Dan Collins," and he's like steaming it, mate. Like I'm talking like Mach 10ing it across the park, like as fast as he can to try and get to the smallest obstacle in the world, but he was going 100 miles an hour. Like Dan Collins is a ripper, mate. Shout out to Dan Collins, mate. Keep fucking killing it.
Me and Dan spoke a little bit back when he first sort of joined the page, and I was a bit fanboy and messaged him and say, "Oh, cheers for joining up. Here's the sort of crack of the page." And he was actually quite a big help when I was going through stuff as well. When I first had to start knocking the booze on the head because it was getting too much, he was a big help to me. And shout out to Blake Bird as well. And I've had many of chats with Blake, not so much recently or the last couple of years, but when first couple of years of UKBC, he was pretty close to me. He dropped me a message to check in on me, and so I got a lot of love for that guy as well. So yeah, peace, Blake.
Blake Bird's a good guy, man. You know, I used to session Bay like every Tuesday. That was the thing, Tuesday. Thursday. Yeah, it was a good thing. It was a good little get together. But Blake has always been there for everybody. And you know, if there's anything you need to talk about, he was there. He was there to help you. And you know, it's nice to see that he doesn't know you as a person to begin with. He doesn't know what he's going to be taking on at the end of the day, and what he's done there is just gone, "There's my open arms."
Yeah,
you know, I'm happy to help.
You know, I think that speaks volumes, not just for Blake himself. You know, but I mean, skaters in general.
Yeah.
We touched on it a little bit before. You know, the page has had some negativity recently. You know, since this COVID lockdown, and you know, and how things have been going. You know, people are just kind of losing them. Well. Yeah, don't get me wrong. You know, there was definitely stuff before, but it just seems to have escalated a bit. That people have had all that free time to kind of mull ideas over and kind of angry about life.
Yeah,
and,
I explained in the last chat.
I think there might have been a little bit too much rosé and a little bit too much toe roll talk.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, man. And like what I was explaining, like in the last podcast, I think it was with not Jake previously before Jake.
Oh, with Rob and
Rob and Scotty, and I was explaining, like, you know, it's weird because when I grew up with some good skaters, man. Like to the point where like every time we went skating, I'd stand around. You know, you didn't really do much because the skaters you were with were just like fucking phenomenal. And like you know, if you were to go, like I explained to Brad all the time, I always mention his name, but if you were to go onto YouTube and search Peter Dearden, like Peter Dearden won Slam Jam when he was 15, started skating with Nim. Shima took him on straight away. And, you know, he was my one of my good pals. I went to fucking primary school with him, went to high school with him, always skated with him, but every time I went skating, I always stood there in the background and, you know, but coming onto the UKBC side of that is that like if we were to take the piss out of each other, it would never be an issue.
Yeah.
And like, you know, somebody can post something like, oh, fucking hell, I'm the worst for it, man. Somebody posts something up and I'm straight on it. Like, fuck was that? Dog shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm on it because that's what I grew up around. But a lot of people, it seems to be that is on UKBC, which we touched on with Scott and Rob, are very, very sensitive. You know.
Yeah, man.
It's different.
It's a tough one.
Different, and everyone has their own sort of interpretation of what, like, you know, we'll turn around and say, you know, it's high banter and it's, you know, it's a good laugh and stuff like that, and other people will take it like straight to heart. And
I think it's more down to the fact that they don't know us as a person. They're like, because they've got to that age now where they're like, who the fuck is this guy? Who's this guy fucking slating me, giving me this shit? When actually, every fucking rollerblader is the same.
Yeah, I mean, if you go for a session with the lads you session with regularly, you know, we'll be fucking first to do it. It's like if you roll a topside, you're getting pulled on it, mate. You're getting called.
I've got clips out there, Sammy. I've got clips out there, and I've got photos of me 100% not rolling. Fuck all
on the sidewall with your friend.
Oh, mate, like literally, like my wheels are like off the fucking wood, but my sole plate's still on it, and I still get that shit rolling.
Rolled it.
Yeah, you've rolled it, but you know, it's all
that's the difference though, and I think that can be a problem on the page because the page has got so many members now, and a lot of members have come from America, other countries, and because for so long UKBC with a few thousand people was so like everyone knew each other and started to have bants, and there's still private jokes chucked around that people do jump in on, and they've got no idea that it's a joke between these two people, and then they put their 2 pence in and it just escalates.
Yeah,
it's that snowball effect. Yeah. It's a little thing just starts and it rolls and it rolls.
It was the same. So there was a Sheffield jam and me and a guy called Richie Pickles. Remember Richie Pickles? Do you ever Richie? He was in the military, quite a big guy, fully tattooed like yourself. I remember being at Sheffield Jam and me and him were like pissing around with each other. You know, as you do.
Is Eric Bailey?
Yeah. And we were winding each other up, like calling each other fucking dick. Next minute you hear this, yo, come on, man. Don't be fighting. And we're like, we're not fighting. He's like, no, guys, you guys are arguing. Like, what are you doing? Like, this is not cool. We're like, no, mate, we're generally just joking. He was just like, you guys are fucked up, man. And this is Eric Bailey, mate. Eric Bailey, like, go to the Sheffield Jam and told us off for having banter. Like, the British people should be a little bit more fucking bit stronger about like not being told they rolled something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like, I get where you're coming from. Like,
I think like, some of that though on the page, like say it's a beginner posting their first learn, and maybe a little bit rolled. I think there sometimes needs to be a fine line between, all right, dude, it wasn't quite perfectly executed, but here's how you do it.
You say that with the beginner stuff. Like, I will give the people on the UKBC community the strong hand and say, nice one, because with all the beginner stuff, I've actually noticed quite a lot lately that people aren't being negative. People aren't being like rude towards these people that are actually trying to learn. I've noticed that quite a lot lately. It's not anything negative. You know, it's mainly like pointers on what you can do, and
that's like a different kind of post. I think that, you know, the negative side of things has come from posts that maybe more personal preference, personal opinion, and political. You know, anything that's kind of, you know, that's not really skate related. The skate related stuff's actually been pretty sound. Like, there's been a lot of guys coming back, especially, you know, like.
I can't say anything. I put a post on there once, and it went off.
Yeah, you're an asshole at times.
It went off. I don't know if you've ever seen that, Sammy, but I put a post on there once, and it went off.
But like,
go on, give me a quick reminder. What was it?
It was pretty much me saying, like, you know, I'm sick of people being negative towards people. You know, all these people that actually don't rollerblade anymore and haven't rollerbladed for like 20 years, but still have a view on it. And I've joined the group just to fucking see what's going on. But what they're doing, instead of being nice about it, they're being actually negative and rude towards people. Yeah. And I said, that's 50% of the fucking group at the time. You know, and it's like the age of around 30 to 30 plus who were just giving people fucking shit.
That's another point though as well. Like, you know, so I mean, I don't know, Sammy, you probably didn't have a lot of involvement in it, but there's a lot of old chat. You might have just been there or thereabouts. That it was like, so there was the BMAG, Roller News, and UK Skate like forums.
Yeah.
And them things were fucking ruthless. Like, they weren't, you know.
I've been told. I've been.
Yeah, you know, like, you know, it's like you hear these little whispers nowadays, and it's like, oh well, fuck me, if this shit had been posted back in the day on BMAG forum, you'd have got fucking torched, mate. It's fucking dog shit and all.
But it's different then.
Exactly, but I think, like you say, there's a lot of people coming back now, and I think at the time when you posted that, and like there was a lot of people who were maybe chirping in on posts who had skated maybe 16, 17 years ago, I still had that mentality. Whereas I think UK BC, like particularly, like rollerblading now, I always say is like, it's an in-between. So it's like UK BC, BMAG forums and stuff, and then like rollerblading where you can still be an arsehole on there and it's kind of accepted. Whereas,
see, I don't think the rollerblading page has much negativity at all.
Yeah, I think it goes unseen a lot because it's probably not one.
I think
people go on regularly.
I think though, because Americans have a different type of banter to us.
Yeah,
they have a different type of like outlook of how you somebody.
Possibly,
and that rollerblading page is American based, and I think they don't have the same fucking. It's like in the UK on our thing, to a lot of people sometimes it's just fucking dead negative.
Yeah.
But in America they wouldn't do that because it's just not in their nature to like rip somebody in that way.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody's out there doing something they enjoy and having a passion, you could be like, if you put up a clip and you're like, yeah, this rail was super high, fucking done the best grind I've ever done in my life, like, you know, and somebody comments on it like saying like, mate, it's knee high.
Yeah.
You know, that's not negative. Like, I don't see that being negative, but in the UK, if somebody did that and put that up, you'd get more than, mate, it's not knee high.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I've seen this. No, I've seen the same stuff on other pages. I've seen Americans rip like other Americans for even bangers, man. Even the smallest little like if it wasn't Brosco landed, they're getting called out on it. Could have been an absolute banger. I've seen it everywhere, man. I don't think it's so much just us. Yeah, I mean, I think it's American. Look at Asa when he come over here. He was shocked by the amount of times us Brits use the word cunt.
Who's that?
We're like, Asa.
Asa? Who's Asa?
He was on the UK BC page. He's an American fella. I can't remember where he lived. It must have been near Corby.
Right.
Yeah, he's like friends with Pete and stuff like that. You know, Pete Colquitt and stuff.
Who's Pete Colquitt?
Yeah, exactly. Who's Pete Colquitt?
Love you, Pete.
Called it out.
Bad that.
It is bad. I'm lying. Pete Colquitt, just so everybody knows, Pete Colquitt is not a nonce. Just so everyone knows.
Sounds we've cleared that up.
Yeah, we've cleared that. Yeah. So that's out. That's out.
I think
UKBC disclaimer there.
What are you saying there? Go on.
So that is official UKBC disclaimer. Pete Colquitt is not a nonce.
Yeah. Appreciate that, Tommy.
He's a lovely guy. He's just a troll.
Yeah. I might actually have to get Lewis put an announcement out now to say Pete Colquitt is not announced.
Yeah. Fire Matt Collins a message.
Yeah, fire Matt Collins a message right now. But I'll even send him a picture of his face on Robbie Pitt's.
Well, be careful with our new Mac, because he's still on commission for selling Anarchies, and I've still not sorted that problem out.
It's so funny. It's so funny. Matt was like for a week solid, fucking putting up a different thing every day.
He was top troll.
Yeah, it's great. It was great.
It was rollerblading at its finest.
Absolute comedian. Like me and Matt were super close. Like when I lived in London, we were super close, and you know he's a great kid. I love him to bits. But fuck me, for that week solid, I never expected at the end of the week for him to be like, "I'm a UKBC admin now." I was like, "What?"
Turbo troll.
Yeah, like what the fuck? You just ripped all week.
That's how you earn it.
Yeah, I mean, it was great. It was quality. I didn't expect it at all. I was like, wow, Matt Collins going to be a big boy, put on the big boy fucking corduroy trousers, like fucking sort of shit out. Like, couldn't believe it.
Yeah, shout out to him though. He's been doing a solid job, man.
He has. So, Sammy, well, I've got a question for you.
Hit me up with it.
So, obviously, with all this, you know, anxiety, depression, bipolar situation, I know we're going back on touching on the subject. You hang up your skates a lot, man. Is that due to the situation?
Hanging up my boots is a loose term. It's not. It's never for good.
I will. Time away to sort the head and.
Yeah, man. Sometimes I just don't like to admit that I've got shit going on, so I'll make an excuse. I'll say I've got an injury. Do you know what I mean?
But do you know, Sammy? Like one thing I will have to say to you, mate, is like you should be proud of what you've created, and you should be proud of what you've become. For now, like I understand, like life and you know home life and the rest of it isn't always going to be like great with the current situation that's going on or what's going on in your life. But you've got to always remember that when it comes to rollerblading, you've got everybody there backing you, mate. Like it only takes one phone call, and you know this from now. You've probably experienced it before. You phone one person who's going through the same type of stuff or has gone through the same type of stuff, and you just have that one conversation. You walk away feeling so much more lifted, so much more positive about the situation. And I don't think until you are physically, you know, full out of love or you physically can't do the sport again, I think it's you should just carry on doing it and don't put out that stuff. Don't put out stuff that I understand when you don't have somebody to talk to at home, but like, you know, we're not massively known together. We're not massively acquaintanced when it comes to like chatting or texting or, you know, we're not. But as
you just hook me up with frames that break on me next time I skate them.
Well, that's because you're a fat bastard. You know, I can't control that.
You know, like to be fair though, what you're saying there is right. Like, and I've seen it in, you know, over the past couple of years. Some people can be going through some hard times and some bad shit, and all it takes is either, you know, if you're feeling bold, you know, bang a message on UKBC, reach out to people. If you're not, you know, just reach out to people individually, people in the group who, you know, who you think might not go.
It's a fine line though, guys. I think with how prevalent mental health is and also how much it is chucked about, I think it's got to the point online that, yeah, there probably is a high percentage of people that do care if you put a message out, but there is also the other side where there's always going to be someone going, fuck's sake. Do you know what I mean?
People don't understand it. They're the people that don't understand it and have never had that mental breakdown in their life where they haven't been affected with some sort of mental illness. And, you know, like Brad here, you know, he's never had anything like that. And, you know, he understands it, but then at the same time, he doesn't fully understand it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, you know, I do understand it, mate. And I do understand, you know, a lot of it. But then at the same time, you've built this community and people have got that respect and support for you that if you do need to reach out to anyone, myself, Bradley, anybody who's on that group, because they wouldn't have joined that group if they didn't want to be fully committed to the community.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly as well, you know, and I don't think that just just stops at you, Sammy. I think that, extends right across the board. I don't believe in 5,000 people, close, what is it, 4 point something, but, close to 5,000 people. I don't believe if people weren't, out of that number of people, if people weren't willing to sort of put an arm around someone or, help someone out in a struggle, especially someone who rollerblades, because yes, it's not, it's not the most well-known sport. It's not the most well-paid sport. It's something we all do as a passion and a love. And I think that transcends within the group, within the community, within this whole family of UKBC riders that, if anyone was struggling, it's kind of, it's not a duty, but at the same time, it's one of them where you'd feel not obliged either. It's, you'd be happy to turn around to someone and say, look, I can help you out because I might not be going through the same shit you're going through. Whatever's going on with you personally, I might not be able to relate to on a personal level, but at the same time, we've all got that love for skating, that passion for skating. And we can all bond over that, and we can help each other out.
Well, I see,
it may be.
It's weird because I don't know if it's not weird. I see it as a. So when you told me you made this group within rehab, and it was like off a cuff thing type of situation where you just thought, what, I'm going to give it a go, see if there's any rollerblades out there. That's, in a way, mate. That's you reaching out.
Yeah.
That's you reaching out to people. That's you reaching out to see if there's anybody else that you can talk to, anybody else that you can have a communication with, a background with, and talk nonsense if you really want to. That's you reaching out, and that's what I think a lot of people on UKBC don't realise. Everybody sees everybody as people taking the piss, people taking, ripping each other and making each other feel a bit shit. But obviously, it's not that, and that's not.
And that's a small percentage of it as well, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
but
if you look at that, and maybe 5-10% of the group might have that sort of,
Yeah, but what I mean by that is that it's a good thing that you've touched on it. But the fact that Sammy's come on and he spoke about UKBC and how it has originally originated and it's come along, shout out to everybody that's on there that is struggling. Whoever's listening, I don't know if there is going to be a lot of viewers. There might not be. There might be. If you are listening, you need to.
Guys, like I had a message. I won't say names, but I had a message from someone that us three all know. I won't, like I said, I won't say names. And he reached out to me, and it was a complete shock to me. About smoking. He said he's smoking years and now it's finally affected him. Did I have any advice on CBD products, etc.? Blah, blah, blah. Another example, that chap off the group that went missing last week or the week before.
What chap was this?
Go on, sorry.
Yeah. Well, I haven't met the chap. He seems a nice lad. He has skated local to me with a couple other local lads, but I've never met him. But yeah, he was going through a really hard time, drugs addiction and housing as well, I believe. And he went missing. I think his family members wrote into the page, and between the community and the contacts that he met through the page, we managed to find him. People from the page contacted his mother, and his mum ripped back into the page, like thanking the community for doing it. And then
I didn't even see that. So I try and stay off social media a bit. Like I said, I'm not really the person to start reading into things and looking into things, because I think a lot of stuff on social media is depressing. So I try and stay away from it. I never seen that.
Yeah, I mean, from a personal point of view, that's why this whole podcast thing was an idea. It was to get, like, we were going through that sort of period, the early, lockdown period, where it was all getting a little bit negative. It was all getting a little bit. People were getting on top of each other. People were coming at each other, beefing for no real reason. You know what I mean? It was like arguing for arguing's sake, and I think we needed to get away from that, and that's what spurred this. And like you say, there's so many stories you can probably delve into where the page itself has kind of been that olive branch for for people to reach out and, you know, help each other. I don't remember that one that you were referring to like last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, but I remember one, it must have been last year sometime, there was someone who went missing, and the page as a group came together. I think I was messaging Pete, and Pete had known someone who'd skated with him not long ago. That one was the one I was thinking of.
I've seen a couple of breakdowns on UKBC, and I think
you know, and that, you know, in itself, it's not just a skating page; it is a community, and I think it doesn't get the recognition it deserves for that.
The thing is, though, with this, outside of that page, like, you'd be surprised how many people have breakdowns.
Oh,
outside of that page. But I think as a community, like I said earlier, you know, I actually don't think I actually got it to get it out, but I think earlier I was gonna say, if there's actually anybody out there on UKBC that just wants to have a fucking chat, wants to send a message, just send a message. Yeah. Like, don't be afraid. Like, you know, you've joined a community to be part of that community. And especially, it's weird because if I was to get a fucking message from Bobby Jones up the road, who I've never met before, and he wasn't part of like something I know of,
yeah, you might be skeptical.
Yeah. But like, because if you're part of the rollerblading scene, then I'd more than likely just fucking read it and interact with you and get back to you. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's something you should be proud of, Sammy. I think that's something you should be really proud of, mate.
Absolutely.
Is that you have built a rollerblading community again. Like, the community was so far spread. Everybody was in their own little cliques, own little gangs, own little fucking. Nobody reached out to anybody unless there was like a big jam, like Slam Jam or fucking Laced or anything like that. Or
especially at the
it looks so crazy, man.
Yeah, like, honestly, when you can't have them big jams, like we're in this situation at the moment where that's not an option. You know, like, indoor parks are closed. Yeah. Even like a lot of outdoor parks are closed. You know, people aren't meeting up for group sessions. Everything's done via Zoom, via Facebook. You know, interactively over social media. And
that wasn't a sponsor, by the way. We're not sponsored.
We're definitely not sponsored. But yeah, but I mean, off the back of that, it's like this might have started a few years ago, but it's probably never been more important to a lot of people than it is right now. You know, and you're probably seeing that with maybe a little spike in numbers of people joining.
Well, we've absolutely phenomenal spike in numbers.
What was that, mate?
I said we've had an absolute phenomenal spike in numbers.
Exactly.
In the last,
and we had that conversation about with Jenna's husband,
Matt, yeah,
about
sales.
Sales 300% up. You know, like on rollerblade sales worldwide, it's like they're sort of spikes that you don't expect. You know, no one was expecting that, and these are the times you've got to set.
I imagine with the current situation, you've had a lot of. Obviously, you're still admin and you're still part of the UKBC scene. Within since quarantine, how many fucking people have tried to join the group? You know.
Since lockdown, probably, without looking into it, which I will do after this, I'd say it's gone. It's exceeded 220 people.
Yeah,
that's a lot, man.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when these started, it was still around the sort of 4.3 thousand mark, and it's definitely over the 4,500 now. Like, I think it's definitely getting close to the 5,000 mark.
Yeah, it's 4.8 at the minute.
So yeah, it's hundreds of people have joined this just since this lockdown. So it just shows, like, this page is probably more important now than it maybe has ever been. You know, like,
yeah, it's crazy because, like, I seen some girl, I don't know her name. She put out a video of her breaking her arm. Did you see that?
It was so bad.
Yeah, her arm went behind her. She fell and broke her arm. But the thing is, like, never seen this girl in my life. I don't think she's actually. She might have rollerbladed previously, but I don't think she's ever rollerbladed aggressively.
Yeah,
and she's just and she's just gone. Do you know what? Fuck it, I'm gonna have a go.
She went.
So, I've got a question for you, Sammy. Is what are you currently skating at the moment? Because what I last saw was that you had no wheels on and you were legging it in your fucking garden.
That was nuts, by the way. Running on grass to topsoil flips.
Blame it on it.
So what?
Yeah,
what-
I needed some extra money through this time. I haven't been skating because of lockdown. I've got a few family members that work for the NHS, so out of respect for them, I just said, look, I won't skate.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's been hard. It's been hard. I've really there's so many days that I've thought, fuck it, I'm just gonna get the box out and skate the box. But as you've seen, that's all I've skated since I started skating, or skating solos, just dragging the box out the back of mine and skating that. So it got a bit tedious. And then there's always the risk of going for that safety trick and fucking that up. And
so have you sold the fifth elements then? Have you still got them or what? What's crack?
I sold my Uto fifths, which I was a bit gutted about because they were beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But the lad that's got them now, Ash, absolutely loves them, and he seems to be doing great in them. So that's fucking awesome to see. I've still got my N-ins, but they're more of a prized possession sort of skate to me. And I don't get on with carbon freeze. My boots are sort of molded in, if that makes sense. My ankles go in, and the boot just doesn't feel secure, so I don't really tend to skate them.
No, I just think with carbons, yeah, it made my ankles feel very fucking brittle.
Yeah, I'm gonna have another couple of dupes. I'm gonna chill in the garden for a bit, and then hit the site.
Well, Sammy, all I've got to say to you, mate, is thanks for coming on for a start.
Thank you guys, really appreciate it.
And you know what, mate? Thanks for building something that everyone else has been thinking of, but hasn't actually decided to do it. And that's the UKPC side of scene. Yeah. Because if it wasn't for you, mate, the community wouldn't be together as much as it is. So
no, when I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
When you're feeling down and you're feeling fucking shitting yourself, just remember you have got a full community there supporting you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
No, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
You're welcome, mate. And just always remember that myself, and I assume Bradley,
and
everybody else who's out there has always got the fucking support for you, buddy. All right, mate.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. Big love.
I'll see you, Sammy.
Yeah. Keep yourself safe. Look after yourself, man.
Take it easy.
And you do.
Stay safe.
Man. Peace.